In a world of glitz and glam, flashing lights and screaming fans, most people are unaware of the war that rages behind the scenes. And that war includes your favorite artist and your favorite songs. This is The Dark Side of Songwriting. Hosted by Nayim Edwards.
Welcome to The Dark Side of Songwriting. My name is Nayim Edwards and I am your host. Today, now we can finally get started into going into multi-genre, multi-everything. Let's talk about Jennette McCurdy, because this is what just came across the desk at the last second last night. So who is Jennette McCurdy? For those who do not know, Jennette McCurdy was a child star on Nickelodeon. You might have recognized her from Sam and Cat, iCarly. I caught on to her obviously as a child because with a lot of these child stars, they usually don't just act. They usually sing, dance. They usually do everything because there is a requisite you have to meet in order to be on these crazy big networks, especially Disney being number one, Nickelodeon obviously being a close second, and if we do enough digging, we can probably see that they are both in cahoots. So you never just do one thing as a child star. So Jennette recently, she's 30 years old now, to my surprise, because again, these people are coming in so young. You're surprised when they're around your age, you know what I'm saying? So she's 30 years old now. She just dropped her memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, which I'm trying to fucking find. We looking all over the place to get it because I have to fucking see everything in the book. I was reading partial excerpts from the book. And what does this have to do with this season of The Dark Side of Songwriting? Aside from the fact that I did like her music as a kid, she had two songs that I really like. It was the one that was like, I can't help but smile. She did country music, by the way. Like, real country music. And then she had a song, she did a cover of Homeless Heart. These are the ones I remember off the top of my head. And obviously with her, it's gonna be deeper than just a surface level 10-minute video. We're gonna have to do a deep dive into the little things that she says in her book, which we will have to do. So she will be getting multiple episodes this season, probably not back to back. We might do 2 back to back, but this one has to do with when she was talking about she's had a food addiction since she was a child. Now, we all know that drug addiction is not just substance abuse, you know what I'm saying? Like, just substances. Drug addiction is anything that you are using as a substance or something to, like, in the place of actually dealing with whatever issues you have. The biggest problem is anything can be put there. We on this channel, we will be talking about substances, but we can't just limit it to just drugs, because everybody didn't just use drugs like type 1, whatever, schedule 1, schedule 2s, whatever. They didn't just do that. Her drug of choice as a child, just starting, was food. She mentioned how she was like 11 years old and it started her food addiction, where she had like anorexia and bulimia, and it came from dealing with her mother, who wanted her to be perfect, pretty much. Her mother wanted her to be a child star. Her mother wanted her to be perfect. I don't even know a different word to put there. Her mother wanted it more than she wanted it, and she wanted it for her mother because they grew up in poverty. They grew up poor. Her mother was a hoarder. Her mother was abusive in many different type of ways. So as a kid, all you want is to see your parents, who are essentially your God, until you can find God on your own, or whatever your God will be in that situation on your own. Your parents are your everything, so all you want to do is make them happy. She mentioned how she even got to a point where when her mother was on her deathbed, essentially, she went to her mother's bedside and was like, Mom, I'm finally 89 pounds, which is crazy as a bitch because I'm sure she was grown. You know, like, what type of grown woman? Like, no, there is no healthy grown woman at less than 100 pounds. I don't give a fuck what race you are, what you do, what line of work you are. There is no healthy adult at less than 100 pounds, which is even crazy as fuck to me, because that's already a signal that your body is not functioning how it is supposed to function. There's a lot of people with a lot of different things going on, but just something as, it's not simple, but something as simple as being able to bear children, you can't do that because less than 100 pounds, you can't carry no kid. You be hard pressed to find somebody who could carry a child, but that's not what this is about. And her mother just like fucking died off or whatever. And she said she felt at ease because, you know, she still was, she felt at ease because all of the abuse from her mother. This affected her career in multiple ways, and we're gonna have to drop part 2 to this part because I don't want to talk about one piece without talking about the other piece that goes into this first piece from just the excerpts I was reading, because again, we're gonna have to come back and read the books. But like, that child star shit is so much pressure because not only are you dealing with an undeveloped brain, you're dealing with a child who is not going to even come into understanding, and they're not going to come into any understanding, but they're also, their mind is not going to grasp that things don't have to be 100% absolute until they're well into their mid-20s. And that's when you realize, that's when you realize in your mid-20s, like, you started coming to understanding in your early 20s, but like in your mid-20s, you can look back at your life and you will say like, wow, like, I really thought this had to be 100% absolute. You know, you don't, I remember my grandma telling me, if you don't say your grace, you're gonna choke and die on your food. You know, I really thought that was absolute. I thought that if I didn't pray every night for the Lord to forgive my sins, that I was going to die in my sleep and go to hell. These are the things, like, we have to sit down and actually explain stuff to our children and explain stuff to the youth. And so, of course, my fucking phone decided to go crazy in the middle of what I was saying, but just like so we can just go ahead and wrap it up so we can get to the second part of what I really want to talk about. You know, your kids think everything is absolute. You can't just say something and expect them to not whatever. We're dealing with a person who came into this business younger than a teenager. She probably had her own aspirations and goals, and it might have been something she wanted to do, but she didn't have no healthy way to cope because she doesn't have a healthy home life. And healthy home life meaning complete, utter shit home life that she came from. Abusive mother, abusive adults, and this adult entertainment industry, even if it is dealing with children, it is still, this is an adult sport. I wouldn't even let my kids come into this shit without actually just being there the whole time to whatever them through. But at the same time, like, maybe you should, I don't know, I don't want to say maybe you should just wait until your kids are grown, or maybe teach them to do something else, but you're probably better off teaching your children some type of subculture within entertainment, like maybe being a cameraman, maybe being costume design, interior design, set design, audio engineer, a songwriter, something like that, where they don't have to come to the forefront. They can play the back or be in the back, or maybe a caterer or something, you know, just something else aside from sticking them in front of the camera, because no matter how talented, no matter how much of a genius, no matter how much of whatever, we still have to keep in mind that we are dealing with a child. You know what I'm saying? And her as a kid, just based on the stuff that I read, I didn't watch any interviews on purpose because I just want to get all the information or whatever. Like, I think the title of this book is brilliant. I definitely, like, you can't even fault somebody for the person who pushed them into their substance abuse dying and them feeling that sense of relief, them feeling like, fucking finally mom is fucking dead, I can fucking breathe out here, and putting their life together, piecing their life together, and getting their shit together so they can go on and live the rest of whatever the remainder of their life is, not broken. I would say, just put themselves together, and I don't say not broken because it's just like 30 years of abuse, or, having to relive your abuse, coming out with your book. You know what I'm saying? And just being vulnerable enough to come out with your addiction and to let people know, like, I'm overcoming and I was strong, and this is just the backstory of that. And obviously I can't tell part 1 without telling part 2, because part 2 is going to be more about how the music shit was going, paired with addiction, paired with everything else that was going on around her. So this has been part 1 of this part. We'll do part 2 tomorrow morning. My name is Nayim, and this is the Dark Side of Songwriting, and I will holla at you.